Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion in the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you'll find a description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here, I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I'll play another card that, in the context of the day's astrology, may give us something more to think about. So, let's get into it. The card that currently sits on the side of the page is the Five of Cups, and it is here because in astrology it correlates with the first 10 days or the first decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign, and cups in tarot are water element symbolism. Water element symbolism is very much about emotions, about how we feel, about the information, the questions that arise, and also the physical sensations that arise with the emotions that we experience. And so we come to the Five of Cups, and we see probably a pretty sad emotion, okay? There's this disappointment or even a sense of despair here. This is a person clearly looking at what they have lost, right? We see 3 cups spilled on the ground here. And those cups really represent sort of emotional investment. The love we have put into something, the energy, the time, the good, what do I want to say? The goodwill effort, the goodwill we have put into something. And, you know, for some reason, something happened and that investment has been lost. It's not available to share. You can't take it back. You can't give it to anybody. It's just gone. And it's appropriate, depending on the loss that you're mourning. Well, it's appropriate regardless of the loss that you're mourning to, you know, take notice of it, to acknowledge the loss, to understand, you know, as clearly as you can, you know, sort of how you got yourself into that situation, what happened, and most importantly, that investment is gone. There's no getting it back, right? And then it is also appropriate at a certain point to shift our perspective and notice that we still have standing cups. This is emotional investment. This is love. This is energy. This is good faith that we still have to give to situations, to people, places, and things. Okay, so you know, at a certain point, we leave what is lost behind us, and we realize that we still have more to give. We have more emotional experiences to have in the world. We have more emotional investments to make in our lives, and you know, that's okay too. We can pick up and carry on because we all have that bottomless cup of love, you know, to give in our lives. We don't have to measure the amount of love we give people. It's not about giving a little or giving a lot. It's just having love for people. There's always there's like a bottomless well of emotional investment that we have to draw on. So it's important to remember that. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. We got the moon, friends. Okay, all right. So, you know, the moon can be one of those kind of challenging tarot cards. It's a major arcana. It's sort of a major message card. You know, I've wrestled with this one on and off a little bit, but it's really about the inner life, and it's really about sort of self-reflection, reflecting on ourselves. And, you know, we turn within, we want to discover things about ourselves. That's very much a mode that we're in right now, just because we're between eclipses. You know, we had the solar eclipse this Tuesday, and then in 2 weeks on Tuesday with the full moon, we'll have that lunar eclipse. So this is eclipse season. It started off in Scorpio, so we're very much inner life right now. We're very much focused on our emotions, and not just what our emotions, but what they tell us about what's coming up underneath. You know, what our fears and anxieties are, what our misunderstandings are, where we feel confused or you know, unable to see the way forward. Okay, so, you know, with the moon, this is a time for personal reflection. It's about, you know, going within and sort of plumbing the depths of our own psyche, our own gut, our own heart and mind, trying to figure ourselves out a little bit. And, you know, you see these two people, you know, sort of on a track down a path toward a cave. So that's, you know, that's that internal looking, you know, that's that going within to see what we can find out about ourselves. And then we see this other figure in the water behind us, okay? And this is about the shadow. This is about that part of us that, you know, we're maybe not so proud of. This part, there's a part of each and every one of us that, you know, we've done bad things, we've done embarrassing things, we may have hurt people, we may have hurt ourselves, we may just feel embarrassed about stuff that we have said and done. And so it's just the part of us that we'd rather people did not see. And, you know, it's there for a reason, and it is down in there. It is in the subconscious for a reason. It's the thing that sends up those fears and insecurities and those concerns we have about further, you know, like embarrassment and further, you know, just being seen as not, you know, the person that we try to project out into the world. So, understanding that, you know, fears and insecurities are going to arise as we turn within to examine ourselves, and being willing to examine ourselves in spite of, or even perhaps because of, this figure that's going to cause those fears and insecurities to arise, okay? And so on the board, you know, on the page, we have the moon. The moon right now, today, is in a square position with Neptune, right? And I talked about this a little bit on the other episode. This is a time this evening when we may feel like we've had enough reality for one day, like we want to escape a little bit. And, you know, that's not exactly the turning within that I'm talking about here. Moon is also sextile with Saturn, so we're in this cooperative vibe where we can take care of business in the heart and home. And I said at home, but it can be in the heart too. This is actually kind of good weather for doing the practical soul searching that will help us achieve greater personal stability in our lives. And then also the moon, I didn't write it in here, but is in opposition to Mars today. So there can be some tension and frustration that arises, okay? We want to be very careful about how we're expressing our emotions, because we might be a little fired up and you know, ready to argue with people. So that's what the moon is up to right now. And, you know, as I said, we had that new moon with the solar eclipse in Scorpio last Tuesday, and we are in between lunar eclipses right now. So in between eclipses right now. So that solar eclipse was on Tuesday, and then we'll have a lunar eclipse with the full moon on Tuesday in 2 weeks. And that is going to be this period of time, this 2 weeks between these eclipses is a pretty intense time, and it's really kind of all about the soul searching. It's all about the turning within and asking those tough questions. And here we are, Sun and Venus conjunct in Scorpio. You know, that makes us more focused on you know, makes us more focused on that internal stuff. And also it makes us more receptive to understanding of that personal stuff. It also makes us receptive to connections that are not superficial, right? We seek deeper connection. We seek answer to deeper questions. We seek deeper insight, okay? And soon Mercury is going to join us in Scorpio, just tomorrow, I believe, will join us in Scorpio as well. So it'll be even better moon magic period of times for being able to ask the questions that really kind of cut to the core of things, without first asking about a dozen questions that don't answer anything of importance, right? We want to get our important questions answered. We want to have them answered about ourselves, okay? Our focus is very much on ourselves and what we love and the connection that we want to make. And you know, and we're not interested in anything superficial right now, okay? It's got to be deep. It's got to be profound. It's got to be impossible for us to ignore, right? You know, and whether we feel good about it or not so great about it, that's what our attention is going to be on, is the stuff that we can't ignore. And, you know, because it's eclipse season, I think the stuff that we can't ignore that's going to be coming up is going to be coming up from the inside. It's going to be coming up from the gut, the psyche. We're going to be talking and thinking about our fears and insecurities, the stuff that embarrasses us, the stuff that we don't feel proud of, the things that, you know, we don't like being and that we don't like to see in other people. And, you know, with guidance here, that there's no pushing all that stuff all the way out. You know, you can clear out old clutter. You can let old things go, old, you know, you can let things that are in the past go. You're like, oh, I know I didn't handle that very well, and I take accountability for not having handled it well. But all I can do now is try not to let that happen again, okay? So you can take accountability for some of those things and sort of release them. But, you know, the rest of it is not stuff that you get to let go of. If we just have sort of, you know, embarrassing human traits, which we all do, or, you know, human traits that we don't want other people to see for other reasons, you know, those are things that we're just going to have to learn to embrace about ourselves, right? Pushing them down, pushing them away, just make them push back harder. So we have to sort of take them in, collect them, make them part of who we are consciously, you know, be conscious of ourselves when we're behaving in those sort of subconscious ways. And taken together with the 5 of Cups, you know, when we suffer an emotional loss like this, when we, you know, whether it is a death, which would be, you know, a pretty big loss, or, you know, just maybe a disappointment or a loss of trust in somebody, which can also be a pretty big loss, but of a different sort, right? And we're talking about emotional investment, so I do talk a lot about relationships there. That's about our connections to other people, right? But people, places, and things, the emotions that we have invested in people, places, and things can get lost to us. And that can be a time when, you know, we turn within, and it's a good idea to turn within and examine ourselves, okay? I don't know how these cups got spilled. I don't know how my investment got lost. And I can look outward and try to blame it on, you know, the person, place, or thing that I was trying to invest my emotions in. But I have to take some accountability for myself. Like, okay, I poured these glasses of wine, not knowing whether or not they would be able, you know, the other person would be able to receive them, right? I poured these glasses of emotion, these cups of love for you, and they just got spilled, man. You know, like I don't have anything to share now. Excuse me. Forgive me for that. So, you know, so a certain amount of introspection is due here when we have an emotional loss, just so that we can say to ourselves, okay, this is the part that I don't feel proud of. And, you know, I'm going to embrace that part of myself, understand that that was what I did. This is how I behaved. This is what I brought to the situation. Understand, you know, in what ways my fears and anxieties might have caused those cups to tumble, or given somebody else a reason to just go ahead and spill those cups, right? We have to be accountable to ourselves for our own behavior, because especially in relationship to other people, it's always a two-way street, okay? Like it's always, you know, if anything, there's an accountability to be made for not having asked the right questions, right? Not having been certain of what we were investing in before we invested in it. So yes. And then when we've done that introspection, you know, often like after we clear out that clutter, we take accountability for the stuff that we did that wasn't, you know, that wasn't helpful. And we arise above those fears and insecurities. We say, yes, I'm afraid, but also, you know, I want more connection in my life. Then we can shift our perspective and get on with having more connection in our lives. And I believe that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.